Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm going to wait a little bit of time to get. Oh, I already get 6 people in. Thank you. I changed up what I'm going to do. No one had any questions. It's the second time that's ever happened. So, what I decided to do instead was something I used to do when I taught tarot. I pull out a lot of my decks and I talk about all the different parts and how they look like and what they seem like. You'll see tarot readers say, "Oh, that deck's not working," and pull in another deck. There's some sort of expensive decks here. There's some sort of common decks here. It's going to be decks, 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 but we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I want to thank everybody who came yesterday, and and thanks to all the people who joined us who joined me on Sunday. That show's been very, very well received. It's been watched by a lot of people. So I hope that you guys decided to share that show for anyone who wants to know what's going on, kind of as an individual, how to deal with politics, and also to laugh with Danny and visit with Sean. I don't know how many of you know this. I don't do uh, current affairs usually, but Facebook went down today. So did Instagram. So did a couple of other social media things. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's funny as hell that it crashed on the day of Super Tuesday. Now, maybe it is just everybody was sending out all the last of their stuff on Instagram and Facebook. It's a little bit late, kids, but you got to push them out every way you can. Which reminds me, if you are in a Super Tuesday state and you haven't voted yet, you got time, and I hope that works. There's been all kinds of connectivity problems. I'm going to be with Sheila from Celtic Tarot on Saturday for her anniversary show, and she and I had been trying for 3 days to connect to each other. She couldn't call into me. She couldn't text into me. I was sending her emails. I was sending her texts, and they were getting there. So I presume the problem is on the Colorado end. But anyway, so she and I are going to play, and I'm going to probably have the garden up for that show, which will be on her channel. And I don't know what time, but as soon as I do, you know me, I'll let you know where I'm going to be so you can come along and enjoy the fun. And yeah, it's and matter of fact, the reason I knew Facebook was out was Sean called me and he said, "Is Facebook out on your end?" And I said, "Well, I tried to open it up this morning and it wanted some passwords and a bunch of junk I didn't want to deal with right now." And he said, "Well, even if you tried to, it would have said you were unable to connect." I just checked up on them. So you don't have to get off this. I'm going to tell you, at least where I am, it's up again. So just hoping it stays that way for people, because it's the way a lot of people talk about things. Let's see, anything else that's fun? Okay, what we're going to do today, I'm going to pull decks up, different tarot decks, and I'm going to probably do most of it on the table because it's easier to see them. This particular deck is called Luna Soul, and I really like this deck. One thing I'll tell you about it is it tells you if you run into a pack of cards and there's obviously an up and a down, right? There's obviously the dark part was up then and now the dark part's down. When this card is laying right, the sun is up and the image is straight on. That's death in this deck. When people design decks, if you get a deck that's got the kind of thing like Luna Soul had, which is 2 different directions, or you can get decks where this is the back of the deck, where it doesn't matter. There's no right side up or upside down. When there's no right side up or upside down, you can read those cards in reverse if you're laying out cards. If the cards are like Luna Soul and they have the obviously one side's up and one side's down, that author, and if you read the little white book that comes along with the cards, that author does not want you to read reverses. And I figure if they go to all the trouble to make the cards and design them and do all they do to them, I'm going to follow what their rules are. The other person I use consistently who does not like reverses is, where did he go to? I'll find him. But Radley Valentine does not like people to read reverses on his cards. And his cards always have very distinctive backs. And I thought I had all the cards over here, guys. You have no idea how many cards I have. So wait a second. This is a Radley deck. It's the Archangel Power Tarot. I read with it a lot. You see a lot in my shows. If you look at the back of this card, there's very obviously an up and a down. And you can see, and his images are really vivid. But that he only wants these read right side up. And he has his little white book's considerably more substantial than most little white books. His little white book is really a book. And he's got a description on every card. He's got a black and white picture of it and everything. And his cards he does not like them to be read as reverses. And so I never do read his cards as reverses. I have another deck of his out on my table that's the same way. So what I decided to do when I taught tarot in the real world, and I used to teach in a wine bar, and they'd open up the big barrel room, and they had these massive long tables, and I could literally take every deck I had, and I would lay them out, and I'd put them in order from 1 through all 4 suits, and then from 1 to 21 in the major arcana. And it was really a fun night because you could go around, you could look. Okay. I don't know how to make someone a moderator. Someone will tell me. And I'll do it because I have somebody asking to be. The Destroyer bot. Oh, it's this Tarot Destroyer bot's back. And moderators, I don't know how. Let's see if I can do this. All I can show is your picture. I only have 4 moderators, but some of them are in here. So click on the dots next to the name. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I got her. Thank you. And I removed her comments. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I just don't do things that are apparently offensive enough for people to want to come in and bother me. Okay, where am I? Radley's a really good artist, and I have several of his decks. But I have decks that I got for various and sundry reasons. And so I will pull them up. And that's what the show's going to be, guys. Because if you want to ask a question, it has to be really quick because all I have to read on is the little palette that carries my keyboard. Because what we're going to go look at now is the table. And here you go. And this is a part of them. They go all the way from here to here. And I actually did pick out the decks to look at. And what I did for each deck was I picked whatever their image of the world is, so you could see different kinds of images are. And then I pulled out cards that are unique to that deck. This is another Radley deck. This is the Fool, but he renamed it the Dreamer. And I just love the Wheel of Fortune that's on that's in this deck. And this is called Guardian Angel Messages Tarot. And the other thing I like about Radley is you can't read it, but it says, it's got little 3 words at the bottom, like this was luck, progress, and change. And for the Dreamer, it says it's the beginnings, the believing, and the protected, and that you're protected. And for World, which has a beautiful angel in a purple gown hugging the world, accomplishment, celebration, and completion. And then for most of the decks, I found they're Queen of Swords. And I always look at the Queen of Swords in a deck because that's my card. It always has been. And in this one, it says brilliant, experienced, and humorous. I'll take all that. That's all great. But you'll see some of these Queens of Swords are not so pretty. But anyway, that is kind of a quick look at this deck. And I use that deck to do readings. When I do private readings for people, I use them for the intro reading for someone. And you can see this is the one deck he didn't make this an up or a down. You can it's the same both ways. It's the only deck he has that's like that. And then, okay, so you're done. And this is Luna's Soul. This is the deck I showed you where the back is so distinctive. And this is the World card in Luna's Soul. And in the symbols of this, a lot of it he took from the tarot. A lot of the cards he rearranged them, made them differently. But my favorite card, and this is really the card that made me buy this deck, and I had to go find it because it was out of print at the time. It's now back in print. You can get one. But this was the card that made me want to get this deck because it's the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles really means you're holding on to something too tight. Something has to give. And I think this is the best illustration of that. The guy standing there, he's got the 4 coins, 2 under each arm, 1 in each hand. The only way forward for him is to go through that door. And if you look, there's a key. The door's locked. He's got to put down one of those 4 items. He's got to make a decision about what he wants to hold on to so he can move forward. And that's always been one of the best descriptions I've known of the 4 of coins or the 4 of pentacles. So those 2 are gone. Let me get back to see what y'all are seeing. Okay, G. Covington, I'm going to mark your question and I'll answer it at the end. This is a weird deck. I've never found it again. They used to sell it at the vintage store where I was. And the images aren't all that bad. That's the World. And you can see she's kind of celebratory. But this is the Queen of Swords, which is not the prettiest Queen of Swords of the whole deck. It's Kali. And you know how you always hear a lot of the readers have had very diverse, just very, very diverse backgrounds. This woman, Barbara Walker, this deck was published in 1985. And she had been a newspaper woman, a dance teacher, a housewife, a mother, a scholar, an author, an artist, a designer, and a leading authority in the field of knitting. Now that's a pretty esoteric mix of skills. And she published knitting patterns between 1968 to 1976, and they're all considered classics. She also did 25 years worth of research. This was her scholar part in religious studies. So the cards in this deck are very interesting. She doesn't give you an idea of what she wants to do with them, but the images really do run from that, which I think is one of the grisliest cards I have, to this kind of fun one for the world. And I'm just telling you, go look at different people's decks because sometimes they can be lots of fun. I don't even know if that deck is still in print. This deck, this is the medieval Scapini Tarot. And this guy based his images on old medieval tarot cards, and they were shaped like this. They were shaped this funny long shape. And this is his The World. And it's a beautiful image of this woman standing in a very plush oriental rug. And it's great fun. Now, and I didn't find the Queen of Swords in here. I know she's in there. It's just I had to look at all these. I was going blind. But this was his devil. This is what the original devil looked like. And this is very close to it because if you go to the Morgan Library in New York, I think it's on Fifth Avenue in his old estate, there's a room where they have some old original tarot cards that have survived from the Middle Ages to now. And then this was his death card. So anybody who says they think our death cards are grim, not so much. Anyway, and I bought that one just so that I could have it for the reference to the images that are in it. I got this deck, the Hobbit Tarot. I would never advise anyone to buy it, and I will show you why. This is their card of the world with the dragon on it, which is okay. But then this is their card of the devil, which is also another dragon. And when I read these, because it's also the damn tower. So if you're laying these cards out kind of quickly to read them, it makes it a little difficult when you're trying to interpret it for people. And I bought them because I was going to be teaching tarot at a summer camp. It was for adults and kids. And I was teaching an adult class on tarot. And the whole bunch of them were really, really into Tolkien. So I was told to get this deck. And I read it with it there. But there's a certain amount of you want to be able to look down at a card and see what it is. And that's way too many dragons. But this is their Queen of Swords. And they had a lot of shape-shifting images in this deck. The rest of them, I've read The Hobbit, and I know what the story is, but I did not find this deck for me personally. You know, if you like The Hobbit a whole lot and love that imagery, fine. Hi, Dr. Gail. Okay, now, this is the Fae Tarot. And I got it because it's when I was starting to work with the elementals, and I saw it and I thought, maybe I'll pick up some images that will help me work with the elementals. I use the images in the tarot a lot in looking at things. And this is the Fae's view of the world. That's the world card, and it's got all the images on it and everything else. But this was their Queen of Swords, which I did kind of like. I do kind of like her, except I don't have blue skin. I have blue hair. So, but that's their Queen of Swords. And that just gives you an idea of the different sorts of images. You know, the deck before this, it was a wolf howling on a stone, and now it's a almost human-looking thing. Then we've got, this is a deck I bought because I used to work before I didn't work fairs anymore. I used to work a fantasy kind of fair, and they had a bunch of readers and stuff there. That's where I have a picture of me reading a Star Trooper, because they all came dressed like that. But anyway, this also a lot of people at this particular thing that were steampunk, and they really, really like steampunk. And the images, I really grew to like this deck very much. Among other things, I got this deck before 2000. Among other things, they did some gender bending. This is the Knight of Wands, but it's a woman. All their knights were women, which I thought was kind of interesting and fun and different. And then they were, if you don't know what steampunk is, the idea is, what if everything we could make now, you could make, but only with things that would have been in the age of steam. And this is the Two of Pentacles, and I think it's a perfect Two of Pentacles because she's on a two-wheeled bicycle that had the tiny little wheel in the back and the tall one in the front, which was very popular when bicycles first came out. And in a way, that's kind of a perfect image of the Two of Pentacles, where you're trying to balance both of those. This whole deck is full of wonderful, fun images, but one of the reasons I don't read with it much is it's very dark. And this is the Four of Cups. And, oh, I do like this one. I think this is an excellent Nine of Swords. You definitely get the vibe off that. It's called the Steampunk deck. And she has a workbook that comes with it too. And I really, really like her approach to the cards and how she says you should look at the cards when you're looking at them, because she brings forth a lot of the minor arcana are the steps you take during the day. The major arcana are major decisions in your life. But when I read her book, I went, I could have written this book. It's a really good book. And I enjoyed it. Some books don't tell you much, or they don't ever say things I think that are completely wrong because it's their point of view. Now, I also get decks that just tickle my fancy and they go where I go. And this entire deck, every card has a crystal on it. And I sat with this deck when I first got it, and I read it, and with my knowledge of stones and what the card they made them, I thought it was very good. It made watermelon tourmaline the world. And watermelon tourmaline is pink or reddish in the inside and green on the outside. So it looks like watermelon. Imagine that. And it really does encompass all that stones can say. It has the grounding and the heart and the communication and the direction of that green essence around us. But then it has the pink gooey center, the heart. So that really is kind of where the world is. Now it's Ace of Cups. This is a beautiful picture. This is rutilated quartz. If you don't know what rutile quartz is, rutile quartz it's clear quartz that another crystal got, usually in threads, showed up in the middle of it. This is a big blow up of what a piece of rutilated quartz looks like. And that really, to me, that is the Ace of Cups, because you've got the clear quartz that's absolutely part of the beginning of everything, and different crystals blending through it, which makes it a good cup. It makes a good messenger into the world. Okay. And then we have some cards that are just truly abstract. And probably the most abstract I read is, and I love this, if you want to get a deck where every time you read it, you're going to learn something and learn how to understand the cards better, try Life is Like a Board Game, because this is its world card. It's just the world with a map on it. And that's kind of how Tarot works it out. This is its symbol for judgment. And if you don't understand the judgment card or it confuses you, it is calling forth. And that's what the judgment's about. The hangman is the question mark upside down. And it's really easy. But when you get to the minor arcana, where I think it's the best. This is the 10 of Swords. All the swords are this pinky color. And the meaning of this card is the darkest before the dawn. And it says 10 of Swords on the bottom. So if you're trying to learn what different cards mean, this is an excellent deck to work with. let's see. Where do we go next? Okay, then there, and all of these decks have 78 cards, just like a regular tarot deck. This is one that's just kind of mine because I like cats. I have a cat. I like cats. They're what I do. And in this deck, the world is a cat going after a bird's nest, just kind of in the middle of everything. And the cat illustrations in this deck are beautiful. And this is the Ten of Wands, which, if you know, the Ten of Wands means it's over. This is a cat. It's over for the snake. And let's see. Oh, and here's its Wheel of Fortune. Is a bunch of cats playing on a wheel. And these kind of decks are fun. And if you have a sort of a really good kind of clean working knowledge of keywords for the deck, it helps. I love this one. Except it's upside down. It's it's a Knight of Swords. And I had a Siamese, and they are the Knight of Swords. And they tell you all about it all day too, all day long. Let's see. And then there's some decks that are just really, they're abstract to a subject. But if you work with them, you'll find out the images work for you. You have to work with decks to get a feeling for whether or not the images that they come with are going to work for you. This is one of my a deck I really like to work with privately. It's the Guardian of the Night Tarot. And this is its card for the world, the bee, which makes all the plants grow and everything happen. And that's very much a world card, I think. And this is their Queen of Swords, and I like her. So this is, the images in here are very, very real. And sometimes you'll see readers pick another one. There's like the Ace of Wands. And that's the Eight of Cups. I don't know what the tiger's about, but there are 8 cups in there. And I think it's just a fun deck. And it has a phrase I like: without darkness, there is no light. So and it also has a little white book with it, which gives you an idea of how the author viewed those cards. And those are kind of fun to just practice and think about if you're interested in learning how to read. What do we got? Oh, these cards I really like. This is one of, there was a whole set of them made. And this is the Thelema Tarot. And I love the illustrations. I think they're really vivid. That's their Magician. And they're lovely, and they're widely available. This is their World. And I really like their Queen of Swords. So, it won me at that. But the only problem with this deck is how it's stored. It has this kind of funny lid. And I found when I used to leave my house and carry my cards around with me, it would fall off, and I would open up my bag, and those cards would be spread all over. But since I don't leave the house much anymore, I enjoy it more now. Don't use it as often as I could, but I enjoy it. Okay, this is an abstract deck. It's another kind of deck you'll find. This is called Mystic Mondays. And this is her world. But her images, her Ace of Swords is pretty much, you can follow that's an Ace of Swords. And this is the Wheel of Fortune. But all the cards are brilliantly colored. And this is her Devil. And you see why I'm saying it's abstract, because the human forms and the other forms in it are really abstract. And This is her Four of Swords, and the swords are in her hair. In her hair, she's holding one, it's going in her hair. And this was the Four of Wands to build the base. That's the like, it looks like someone's building a canopy somewhere to celebrate. So sometimes it helps if you know these cards a little bit better. The aces are pretty easy. But they're just simply what the card's about. This is about justice, and it doesn't have all of the ladies sitting in the middle and all the rest of the stuff. So that can be, for some people, they find that after I would show this to some of my students, they'd go get it because they thought it was an easier deck for them to hold on to. Let's see, who is this one? Oh, this is the Druid Tarot. Yeah. And it's a big deck, and I actually won this, and it comes with a whole box, and it comes with a great big very, very detailed story book for interpreting the cards. But this is their world. And this is the Queen of Swords, and I kind of like her. And she's very much this of the Rider-Waite deck. In the Rider-Waite deck, the Queen of Swords is facing to the side. She's the one queen that you don't see her whole face. And she's sitting like that. And she's got little trees and very windblown, because in the cards, in the original Rider-Waite deck, you can see the clouds moving in the back of her. And okay, and here's this deck's version of a chariot, and it's got the light and the dark horse and the guy riding it, but it doesn't have a lot of other stuff around him. But it does have, and it actually looks like a woman who's driving the chariot, and she's got the sun behind her. And it's got a lot of plaids and Scottish things and very British looking imagery around the characters. But it's a lovely deck, and when you read their interpretation of the cards, it can really give you other ways of looking at those images. This is a deck I use when I do my it's Hanson Robbins, and when I do my year readings for people, these are the small cards I use for the modifiers, because I really like them. They're very lovely, and they're very colorful, and they pretty much look like what they're supposed to be. So there's the High Priestess. So it's a small deck, and if you have trouble shuffling the big decks, this is a very good small deck, and its cards are covered with imagery for you to be able to have, if you read off images. Some people read off keyword interpretations. Some people read off the images. Some people just read off both, whichever. What I tend to do is if an image really hits me, then I will decide to pay attention more to the image than the keyword, but it also depends on what other words are around them. And this is it's called the Herbal Tarot. It's one of the oldest decks that I own. I've owned one of these. Well, it was printed in 1988, and I've owned one of these since I think they first came out. And because I used to have an herb garden, I used to have a herb garden that was about 4 feet wide and about 30 feet long. And I grew everything in the world in there, including comfrey, which is their card of the world. And if you don't know what a comfrey plant is, go learn about it. There's pictures of comfrey plants in Egyptian tombs. You take the leaves and make these gorgeous, luscious, thick green leaves. And you simmer them in oil, and you rub it on things. You don't take it internally. You rub it on the outside of your skin. It is the most incredible thing for removing bruising I've ever seen. And this is their world card in this deck. It's watermelon, which, if you think about it, it's that big, lovely green and pink thing, and it's much like the watermelon tourmaline that's in the crystal deck. It's really such a warm, comforting stone. It's one of my favorites. But the images, if you don't know much about herbs, you can learn a whole lot about herbs by reading these cards. And this is the Six of Swords, and it's vervain, and I think it's some sort of sedative, some sort of calming thing. And the images in it are really good. If you want to learn about herbs, you can do it's a twofer, which is what I used it for. And let's see. Oh, this deck, I guarantee probably none of you have ever seen before. It's called the Ellis deck, and it was designed by a young man who lived in an apartment down the street from the vintage store where I used to read, and he had a limited printing done of these cards, and they're really fascinating cards, image wise, but they're pretty much. I mean, you wouldn't have much trouble interpreting them. It's the Ace of Cups, and there's the Two of Cups, but you can see he was very much of an abstract kind of artist. You can tell what they are, illustrative. He was a lovely guy. He used to come in and ask me, "How's the deck working?" And it works beautifully for me. I have no problem understanding what's going on. And I like his Five of Cups. It's a mermaid, which is kind of different. And she's got 3 cups above with her, and she's got 2 cups that are floating away in the water, which is a good image of the Five of Cups. And in case you guys wonder, I do not use these all every day. Put it mildly. Hi, G. Covington. I'm coming back. I'm going to circle back and pick up questions. I just have a couple more decks. These two kind of belong together. I used to read tarot at an anime festival in San Antonio. Don't ask. It's like a long story. Family attachments, and they made me come down. And so I went looking for some Asian decks, and I found this pretty one, which is the Ukiyo Tarot. And the images are pretty interesting. And of course, they liked them because they had an Asian flavor to them. This is their Queen of Tigers, which is their Queen of Swords. And they're basically the same artistic style. This was their world. It was a woman riding off, weaving all of the ribbons around her. So, and I've kept them. I don't read with them very often because the only time I ever read with them before was at the anime festival. So, but they have one where, their little devil card, and I think it's in this deck. And I should have thought to pull it. Let me see if I can find them real fast. It's in this deck. And they don't have images on all the things, so if you're looking for that, that's not going to be helpful to you. But they have the wheel. They have Buddha on the Wheel of Fortune, and if I can find this devil, it's really an interesting card. If he's, I kind of forgot about him until I was looking at the deck again now. Their devil, they look upon the devil in this was supposedly based off of samurai knowledge, and that's their magician. He's much like ours, he's got that, but if I can find him, it's really an interesting concept. I think you will like it. If I can't find it, I'll explain it to you, but I don't think I can describe it as well as if you see it. Their hangman looks pretty traditional, like he got caught up in the laundry. Their fool is not as engaging as ours. Samurai considered it foolish to run off without a plan. Here's the devil. and he's dancing on the treasure chest. And they believe that the devil is opportunity. They don't read the devil the way we do. They read that it's an opportunity for you to deal with what's going on around you. And when you read their description in this deck, it's very different from ours. And I think he's kind of an ugly little thing, but it's okay. I mean, it's freeing you up. In the other deck, its fool was very similar. He was a little bitty red demon-looking critter jumping up and down on a red chest also. So, and let's see. Okay, those two go up here. And this is one of the last. This is probably as much as I've ever paid for a deck of cards. These are individually printed. They only print so many. And it's got a couple of really interesting things around it. And his name starts with an S, and I'm blanking. And it's not on anything. Although he does send you a card in the deck that he signs, which is kind of nice. Anyway, this is his world card. And it's much based on the images that you find in Rider-Waite. I do like their Queen of Swords. I think she's cool looking. And now this is what's weird in this deck. They give you two cards for this position. You can either pick the card of Faith and put that in your deck to play with it, or you can pick the card of Hierophant. You don't keep both of them in the deck at the same time. So you get some sort of bonus cards. The other bonus card that they had in here was the Three of Swords. There's either this pretty lady who's obviously more of a broken heart, and this looks like someone who got stabbed with all three of them. But you would pick one of those to read with when you read the deck. And the other thing he has is we normally have the suits, the ace through the king. He has the palace of, happens to be the Palace of Wands. This one's a Palace of Swords. There's also a Palace of Coins, and there's a Palace of Cups. And no book comes with this, by the way. You just get these. So I went to their website and I found most people feel like when this shows up, it means the overriding message in the reading has to do with these cards. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to read with these cards. And I'm going to ask the questions people ask. I'm going to put in her for the 3. I'm going to put in Faith for the Hierophant. I always liked it better when it was in there. I'm going to have to shuffle them up a little bit. And I'm going to go back for a second and look and see. I'm going to mark questions that have come in. Okay, 1. Give me a second to do this, guys, because you wouldn't like it if I went past your question because I was in a hurry. Oh, I'll ask this one, Julie. Okay. Terry at Holding Your Space is here. Terry was with me yesterday. We had a lovely conversation. And lots of interesting talks about things. Okay, and as it ends up, unless I'm wrong, I got rid of the Tarot, whatever she was, again. Okay. All right. We got 3 starred questions, which is probably pretty good. Because, quite honestly, Tarot decks carry power with them. And this is a deck. I'll show you this perfect deck. You can read these in reverse. Because no matter which way you turn this, it's the same. So this is... And as we know, I read reverses. And I know there are readers who don't. And It's an individual choice. So we're going to start with this question first. Okay. I'm going to ask if your job interview is going to be a success for you, G. Covington, okay? And these cards are made of, it's not card material and it's not fabric. It's a really nice, lovely, stiff fabric. And I think you could shuffle these forever. And they're the only gilded sided cards where they have that shiny stuff on this edge that I've ever had that it hasn't worn out. And I've had these cards 7 or 8 years. And the way I found them was a woman who was doing an unboxing of cards. And it comes in this little envelope. In this little bag. So, okay. G. Covington, successful interview on the 19th. I think you're going to have a second one. I think it's going to start. They like you and they can see some potential in you. And you're looking to this because it's going to make it so that you can throw down your burden. That's the 10 of Wands. I think it's the person who's interviewing you. But I think you're going to get called back for a second interview. If you have problems with that person, you may think like, I didn't communicate with her well. But somehow your name gets into the company that they want you. Yeah, okay, one more thing about it. Who's this woman? Okay. If you're interviewed by a blonde woman, she's been going through some disappointments in her life, and she's just not into bringing people in. And this is the 9 of Cups, and it's reversed for you with regards to her. But I'm getting the weirdest, so I'm going to see what happens with it. This is the Knight of Wands, which wands are good. Okay. Okay, there's a whole lot going on in this company you don't know about. And what I see with him is this is the devil. Really? Not good cards for job interviews. The 6 of Swords. You would not be going away. I know you think you'd be unburdening yourself, but you would not be escaping. This is the 6 of Swords. You might be out of the frying pan into the fire. This company's got some things going on with it. And you may hear from them later, because that's what this guy said to me. He sees you as a good fit after they've gotten past a few problems they're having in the way. They're not in a comfortable space, but it can be for you at the end, the 8 of Cups. It can be a way to get away from where you are. So I'm going to ask this a different way. I think the 19th, I think if you run into this woman, she doesn't want any changes is the problem, is what I'm getting from that card. And she's going to see your skills as being a threat to her. But I'd still go for the interview, because will a second interview work out differently for you? Okay, you got the Palace of Cups upside down. So what I'm going to read is that the Palace of Cups upside down for you said this place, it's not that they're not financially secure. It's not that they don't have a good product, but there's something going on in the heads of the people who are there. But I see you, if they call you back, it's because they really saw some really good strengths in you. They're not going to want to pay you what you're worth. And, but they have the money. They really could be more generous. The problem in the company isn't with the duties, it's not with the tasks, it's not with them having the money to do it, but there's just some kind of emotional turmoil or spiritual turmoil in that place. But for you, you could go in there and you could survive there and balance yourself there. But let's see, do you want to? Yeah, it could be a good place for you to go and learn some new things, because it's got the palace of, this card is the palace of endeavor. So I'm sorry to give you such an ugly, muddy interpretation, but if you feel like there's something weird with the woman that if a woman interviews you, you're not wrong, and there's something going on in that company. But it really has good bones. In other words, it could be a really good thing to do. Okay, and this is, can I have a message from my guides? Okay, we're gonna stick with this deck. Message from her guides. It's one guide who's coming through. I just got that vibe. Okay. Boy, are they telling you to get away from whatever's making you painful and getting to the Ten of Cups. You got from the Ten of Swords to the Ten of Cups. It says to let go of this pain and to unleash yourself. You're involved in something that you need to let go of it and get out of it. That's the Eight of Swords. And it's then things will start to turn around for you and values will fall back into better shape for you. Somehow or another, you think it's temperate to hold on and try to hold on to all this pain. It's not. It's torture. You have a way out. And if you do break, if this guy's saying, get out of there, because you got the Ten of Cups as your out card, which means if you break those bonds, and I'm going to show you how, that's kind of where you're living. And you're the one who's tying you to it because you got the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is always a prison of our own making. So you need to make the generous choice for yourself. And you're trying to be balanced and fair with this other person, and they're just destroying you if you hang on to it. So let go, and you can have the Ten of Cups. Glad the Ten of Cups showed up, because this certainly is miserable. And oh, one of my favorite things. When I used to read at table, Julie, people would come up and ask me, and they'd go, and the questions really came down to this: will I be poor? Will I be rich? Should I get rid of the son of a bitch? And everybody thinks if they get someone in their life, it's going to be perfect. I'm going to see if someone's going to be coming towards you. If you've been working on yourself and you really like yourself, I think there's a really good possibility of this, but we'll see. Is a soulmate coming into my life soon? Yeah, soulmates can be real pains in the asses because they've known you for a bunch of lifetimes and all that. So, let's see, Julie, is a soulmate coming into my life? Someone's coming soon because you got the World here, which is completion cycle. But boy, is there problems around it. You need to take a long, hard look at this. You've got the Six of Coins reversed, which means I think in relationships and before, you've given much more than you've been able to get back. And you want to get into a relationship where there's just none of that petty sort of fighting that's going on. You're really close. I'm going to lay some more cards on what the World's saying to you. But Okay, I got it. You took a rest after the last person, and he looks like King of Cups can seem real warm and huggy, but they really can be difficult to put up with. And you're not quite over him enough. So let's see what it's going to make. Okay, love's going to come into your life when you're standing on your own and when you have the temperance. So, yes, you have every possibility of pulling it in for yourself, but you have to make that decision. Um, and you have to be ready for it, and you have to let this guy go. What is the deal with him? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was a real, don't listen to anything that guy said to you. He was just there to poison your sense of self. And the Four of Swords reversed can be coming out of hiding. So I'm going to see what it's going to say to you. Oh, that's the card that the guy signed that came with the deck. That didn't help. Yeah, I think it's going to be a much more balanced relationship because you've got the Eight of Coins, which means you're willing to work on it. And I think you're only willing to accept someone in your life who is willing to work on it. I think that's a good reading. And the last card is working on it. And you know you've got a lot of skills you need to learn. Hold for a second. Now let me go see if I've missed anyone. Okay. Okay, got to go way down to the bottom. Sorry. Y'all weren't so chatty. This would go faster. But that's okay. That's why we come to these things, sit and chat. Mad who? Okay, I got another one. Can I have a message? Okay. Okay. What's a message for Mad Who? Hi, Vivian C. Mm-hmm. Shows you've been going through a bad patch where you've made some choices and you thought you were treated very unfairly, but you're back in being your own bad self. You're being the Queen of Swords, and you're willing to get there in there and work and get what's done needs to be done because you're tired of having to constantly rebuild the fence and rebuild the defenses. Let's see what's going on with you. Okay, your message is the Eight of Wands, something about travel or distance or looking at a new place to be would be very important to help you right now. And where'd the injustice come from? Oh, yeah, it was a coworker who stole your idea, and it's really worked out well. There's going to be a way you can work your way back into getting some of that back. But let's see. I'm going to put one more. One more. Okay, yeah, you've got it. You know about it. You just need to quit deciding to keep balancing everything for everybody. You got the Palace of Wands. You're not working as hard as you could on presenting yourself, but you have a really good idea, and that's what you ought to be working on right now instead of worrying about what happened. Okay, now let's see if there's anybody below here. And then I'm going to close it down because we're at 59 minutes. Okay, Celtic Seer. Giro Marchetti, that is who, this is the name of the guy who made the deck that I'm reading from right now. Thank you. When they don't send them in boxes with their names on it, it's hard. And Celtic Seer. It's coming up for her in the first half of March. Ooh, that's nice in the middle. Okay. Some of the changes you've been looking for to happen aren't happening yet. I have a feeling they're close. The Knight of Cups is reversed, and so it's not that they don't care. It's they're locked in with other people too, so they can't help you make the moves you want. You get the Six of Wands, which means what you do is going to be very well recognized and it's going to be helpful. And Seven of Coins. It's not going to end up being. It's not going to be till the end of the month that this. I'm going to pull this one out. That you're going to get there, and right now you're struggling because it feels like you're doing a lot of sort of people trying to win at any cost, and that's not helping anybody. I'm going to see if that's what it is. Yeah, they're not hanging on to the bright ideas. They're not willing to let go of the overburdensome thing they should be dealing with. And they're also not willing to sit down and consider all the options. You got the Four of Cups reversed. So real quickly, what's the deal about or 10 of Cups here? I'm going to pull it out of here. Oh, the bottom of the deck for you is the Fool, by the way, which means you really need to make this decision. I'm going to read off the bottom of the deck. You can make the wands work. You can make your magic and have people recognize who you are. But the biggest problem for you right now is getting your chariot moving. And I love this charioteer because it's a woman. So it's you need to, whatever project you've been working on that's been stalled, the person you're blaming for stalling it didn't, other people did, but it's still stalled, so it doesn't help you. But I think by the end of March, you're going to have made some headway and get to recognize and understand what's going with your project. Okay. What's going on around Sherry? Then I really need to get out of here, guys, because I got to teach a tarot class tonight, which is the other thing I do, by the way. I teach tarot. Next Thursday, I'm going to be talking about crystals again. I'm just going to pull over a tray of crystals and talk about what I know about each one that's on it. And Sherry. What's going on around Sherry? Everybody's feeling a lack right now. You understand that? You've got a bunch of people in your life. You got this little sweetie pie. That's the Page of Cups. The Page of Swords, I'm sorry. He's telling you the truth. You need to listen to him. You've got the Lovers, which means you're making some very important choices for yourself right now. You're currently right this moment thinking of them from a point of lack, which is wrong. You've got the Seven of Coins. You've planted the crop well. Give a chance to finish growing. And you have a new endeavor or you have a new person coming into your life. These knights are scary, but they're very powerful. So he's a Knight of Wands. So that's what I see going on around you, Sherry. Don't give in to your fear. And Candy. Hi, Candy Mullen. See what's going on around Candy Mullen. And then I have to stop this because I have to rest. What's going on around? Oh. You're trying to make a decision and you're hung up on it right now. I love this hanging man. God, does he look like he's really hanging? And it's you, Candy. It's your own indecision. What's at the bottom of the deck? Oh, because you need to be temperate about it. You want it and you want it now, whatever's going on. You're going to get it. The money's there. It's just not in your pocket yet. And I'm going to read on him. This is Page of Cups. Okay. The money's coming. It's there in the Four of Coins. But it's not going to be as much as you want. Or it's not going to come in the speed you want it to. And part of it's getting whoever this guy is off his butt and getting him to activate and make things work. I hope that makes some sense. I kind of see a picture to that, but not too clearly. Let's see if anybody... Yes, we are all feeling totally discombobulated today because, and I talked about this yesterday with, see if I can pull it up again. I'm going to go look for a graphic in my computer. Just hold for a second. I have to go into a file and into a file and into a file. So, but it's got, if I show you this astrologic chart, I think even if you don't know much about astrologic charts, you'll understand this one. Okay, wait a minute. I know I formed it. Date modified. Yesterday. One second. Okay. I can't get to it, but if you go on any site that's an astrology site and ask it to see where the current planets are, not your transits, not your birthday, just where all current planets are. They're all squashed together in 3 signs, which means every planet is playing with every other planet. And since I don't know your chart, that is going to affect some people more than others. But what's happening is everybody feels like everything that's moving them is getting squashed together. And it's not a comfortable thing. So yes, that's true. And okay, and yeah, anything you can do that can try and ground you, anything. I mean, grab the biggest, heaviest, dutiest grounding crystal you own. And with that, I'm going to just check and make sure. Yeah, guys, please hit the like and subscribe because that really does help my channel. And okay, we're done. I'm out of here. Bye. Now it's got to go through this thing.